onslaught did not arrive gradually. At 2 p.m., it arrived all at once. This was not a single strike. Over 200 Egyptian aircraft struck simultaneously. Across a 160-kilometer front. Strike waves were timed within minutes, hitting targets up to 30 kilometers deep. Follow-on waves came almost immediately, targeting airfields, radar sites, and command centers. Above, aircraft crossed the canal. Below, artillery columns moved into position. 122 and 130 millimeter guns, heavy mortars, BM-21 rockets, nearly 2,000 guns, one of the largest concentrations since the Second World War. And yet, would Israel survive it? Israel was unprepared. It was Yom Kippur, a day of fasting and prayer. The nation was at rest. Soldiers were at home. Homes were quiet. Then the call came from the army. Report immediately. Nothing more. It sounded routine. Some moved toward the front. They did not imagine an attack of this magnitude. By the time they understood, the war was already underway. The bombardment covered the entire canal front. A line of Soviet-built M46 130mm field guns and rocket batteries opened the barrage across the canal front. Under this umbrella of artillery and air attack, 32,000 men crossed the canal. But one obstacle remained. The Bar-Lev embankment. 18 to 25 meters of compacted sand. Densely packed sand. Explosives were ineffective. Detonation compacted the sand more than it removed it. Egyptian planners understood this in advance. Within hours, high-pressure water pumps were assembled. The first breaches opened within 2 to 4 hours. Multiple gaps were created the same day. Engineering succeeded where explosives could not. With the breaches secured, pontoon bridge units moved forward immediately. Temporary floating bridges assembled from modular pontoons. Modular floating sections were unfolded, linked, and locked in place under fire cover. By the following day, the canal carried not just men, but armor. Artillery followed across the bridges.
كملوا لقدام ما تقفوش على الكوبري يلا بسرعة خلونا نوصل.
Crossing the canal, Egyptian forces advanced east onto the Sinai Bank. Infantry and armor moved through prepared breach corridors. Ground forces advanced under continuous artillery cover and a moving surface-to-air missile stream. 5 army divisions attacked simultaneously. For the first time, terrain, protection, and initiative favored the attacker. Mobile SAM trucks followed immediately, equipped to shoot down Israeli aircraft approaching. When the freeze broke, Israeli jets roared into battle. For Israel, air power had always been the answer. When the battlefield collapsed, aircraft restored control. Pilots expected to own the skies. They did not expect the real danger to rise from the ground and reach them at the altitudes they trusted. But the Egyptians were advancing behind a moving belt of Soviet-built surface-to-air missiles. The SA-6 changed everything. It was mobile, radar-guided, built to move with advancing ground forces. It was hard to find and harder to destroy. Across the front, launchers and radars created overlapping zones of fire. Search radar found the aircraft. Tracking radar locked its speed, altitude, and direction. That data guided the missile after launch. The missile corrected its path in flight. The missile saw them. The pilots saw nothing. The first aircraft went down. Then another. Then more. Within the first days of the war, Israel lost 40 aircraft. Many losses occurred before pilots could react or evade. Israeli doctrine assumed air superiority meant survivability. These numbers proved that assumption collapsed immediately. Pilots could not see the launch sites. They could not visually acquire the missiles. Suppression tactics failed because launchers moved. Radars shut down, then reappeared. Terrain masked their positions. It was the first time a modern air force was decisively constrained by ground-based missile systems.
The jets are dropping off radar. No enemy contacts.
The threat was not invisible. It was unlocatable.
Confirm losses.
It was a system-level mismatch. The force was operating blind.
איבדנו את כולם!
They kept losing aircraft and crews. Strike missions were aborted at unusually high rates. For the first time, air power could not see what was killing it. Air forces worldwide would later rewrite their tactics.
אנחנו צריכים עיניים למעלה. בלי ציור שאנחנו טסים עיוורים. הטיסות האלה לא חוזרות.
Neutralizing the missile network became the only way forward.
איזו ברירה אחרת יש לנו?
The target was no longer the enemy. It was information.
אנחנו חייבים לדעת מה קורה בצד שלנו. הטייסים כבר מתנדבים.
They needed to see the battlefield. The state itself was at risk.
הם מתנדבים.
אדוני, נוכל לטוס עם מצלמה. אם תאשר פנאי, נצא. אתה יודע, זו האפשרות היחידה. אבל זה מסוכן מאוד. כן, אדוני. צאו.
Israel adapted the Phantom II for the mission. Designed in the United States as a frontline fighter and strike aircraft, built for speed, payload, and combat, it was now stripped of its weapons. In a radar-dense environment, speed became the only defense. Weapons increased radar cross-section, visual signature, and infrared heat. They made the aircraft easier to detect without stopping the missiles. Bombs were replaced with cameras. Sensors replaced firepower. They were ordered to avoid combat. This was not a fight to win. It was a run that had to be finished. Survival meant bringing the data back. In October 1973, unarmed photo-reconnaissance phantoms crossed into hostile airspace. Their task? Locate missile systems, radar sites, and force deployments beyond ground visibility. With them began one of the riskiest reconnaissance operations of the war. Aircraft entered SAM engagement zones before recognizing the threat. Missiles were detected only at launch, too late to evade. One aircraft was hit. Instant kill. No warning. The formation broke. One aircraft dove to terrain level. Another climbed into cloud cover. Missiles had altitude limits. Flying low broke radar contact, but it exposed the aircraft to guns. Enemy positions lined ridgelines and rocky outcrops. They manned heavy machine guns. 23 and 37mm anti-aircraft guns were already deployed. The second aircraft was lost. Every altitude was wrong.
Eagle 2 is gone. Break right. Climbing. Eagle 3 going down. Radar lost the track. He's below coverage. Stay on it.
מאושר. אז זה רק אנחנו. כן.
אנחנו נקיים בינתיים. אנחנו מעל המעטפת.
For now, we're above the enemy.
Above the envelope, no missile could reach them. For now. Above 20,000 feet, they were beyond effective engagement. Fuel consumption increased sharply at altitude. Altitude brought safety. Fuel took it away.
הדלק יורד מהר. זמן לחזור הביתה.
יש מספיק לחזור לבסיס? אין מקום לטעויות.
Fuel was no longer a reserve. It was a deadline.
לא עוד צעד אחד.
They descended. Evasion was no longer optional. They flew where radar struggled. They remained below radar coverage. The Phantom skimmed the desert at extreme speed. The Phantom bled energy through each maneuver. The aircraft had been built for speed, altitude, and strike warfare. Now it flew low through dust, heat, and ground fire. At that altitude, terrain became as dangerous as the missiles. Fuel drained faster than expected. The margin disappeared quickly. Every evasive turn traded fuel for survival. Sometimes the missile envelope tightened without warning. Precision replaced aggression.
Missile miss! Stay sharp!
The desert opened. The sand signatures faded.
אין נעילה. התעלם. פנייה נקייה אחת, מספיק.
Through the haze, the airbase. Only a few made it back. Most did not.
עשינו את זה. עוד משימה הושלמה. בדיוק בזמן לבירה קרה.
Now they had the data. That was the mission. Many pilots died trying to see the enemy. The film canisters the pilots carried home contained the answer nobody had thought of yet. For the first time, they could see the battlefield. Onboard cameras captured the battlefield in high detail. The film was processed through secure photo laboratories and military intelligence channels. Analysts examined radar coverage, armored concentrations, logistical movement, and missile deployments frame by frame. The intelligence was transferred onto Sinai battle maps and operational planning overlays. Then one detail stood out: a narrow corridor between Egypt's 2nd and 3rd armies, a gap wide enough to strike deep. The war strategy changed forever. Just before midnight on October 15th, Israeli paratroopers began crossing the canal in rubber boats. They crossed near Deverswar, at the northern edge of the Great Bitter Lake. By the following day, Israeli engineers were assembling pontoon bridges and motorized ferries. Israeli tanks soon began crossing onto the West Bank. The crossing had become operationally decisive. Israeli armored units penetrated deep behind Egyptian lines. The Third Army was isolated from reinforcement, fuel, and supply. Convoys along the western bank were cut off. Israeli forces reached kilometer 101. Key Egyptian rear positions were now within artillery range. The southern front began to fracture. The Egyptian momentum of the first week was broken. Israel now dictated the terms of the battlefield. The tides of the war turned. The photo phantoms continued recording the battlefield. One lesson had become unavoidable. To survive, you had to see first. But the cost was staggering. A new idea took shape. An eye above the battlefield, without a pilot inside it. The answer? A small, unmanned aircraft with a miniature television camera. The Tadiran
אנחנו צריכים לבדוק
Mastiff.
את הרכיב הזה. הוא נראה פגום. אני מסכים. זה יכול לגרום לכשל
The
במערכת.
television camera was housed in the forward fuselage. Powered by a simple two-cylinder, two-stroke engine driving a pusher propeller, it was light, inexpensive, and revolutionary. For the first time, commanders could watch the battlefield live without risking a pilot's life.
Operation is a go. Signal is clear.
The camera converted the battlefield into an analog signal. The signal rose into the air as radio waves. Nearby ground antennas captured it, stabilized it, and returned it to flickering black and white monitors just behind the front.
Confirmed, Brigadier.
For the first time,
Holding
commanders could watch the battlefield live while no pilot crossed into danger. The battlefield now had eyes in the sky. A new era had begun.
מושלם.
Machines would not just observe war, they would begin to guide it. In the next war, the Mastiff became part of a new strike system. Live surveillance, electronic warfare, and precision air power fused together. It entered enemy radar zones with a different purpose. Small, unmanned, expendable. It mimicked a manned aircraft. It triggered radar emissions. The battlefield woke up. Syrian operators saw aircraft-like signatures and powered up their fire control radars. The bait worked. The moment the radars came alive, they exposed themselves. Some fired missiles at the drones, with little effect. The Mastiff recorded radar emissions and locations in real time. Israeli commanders watched live. Routes were mapped. Strike paths were fixed. Electronic warfare blinded and confused the network. Then the attack aircraft moved in. Anti-radiation missiles homed on active radars. Precision strikes followed the signals. One SAM site fell, then another, then many. In a single coordinated operation, most of the Syrian missile network in the Bekaa Valley was destroyed. The drone did not destroy the enemy. It made the enemy reveal himself. For the first time, machines were not only watching the battlefield, they were provoking it. The war had entered a new phase, machine against machine, with humans watching the screen. The lessons spread quickly through defense circles. Building on Israeli UAV experience, the United States Navy adopted the RQ-2 Pioneer.
Confirmed.
The Pioneer was larger and more capable. It carried a larger camera package, a stabilized gimbaled camera, and a real-time C-band line-of-sight video link. It could send live imagery out to roughly 100 nautical miles. It could remain on station for around 5 hours. Most importantly, it was built for ships. Rocket-assisted or pneumatic rail launch, net recovery at sea. It could spot targets, correct naval gunfire, and assess damage after the strike.
Looks like the target vehicle is stationary. Confirming visual ID.
Confirmed. Stand by for further instructions.
Control could pass from one station to another, allowing launch from one site and recovery at another.
Target confirmed. Execute.
The drone was no longer only an eye above the battlefield. It had become an eye above the fleet, During the Gulf War, the Pioneer searched for Iraqi artillery, coastal targets, and battlefield movement. It spotted targets for battleships, corrected naval gunfire, assessed the damage after impact. The gun no longer fired blind. It fired through the eye of a machine. Pioneer drones often appeared before bombardments. They guided airstrikes and became a symbol. For the Iraqi soldier, the sound of the drone meant one thing: fire was coming. They could not fight a bombardment. Better to surrender. They dropped their weapons. They surrendered toward the tiny aircraft.
يدي مرفوعة. سيدي لا تطلق النار.
A group of men surrendered. Not to a soldier, not to a tank, but to a machine in the sky. U.S. operators watched it happen in real time.
Enemy personnel surrendering. No weapons visible. Securing now.
U.S. Marines accepted the surrender. Surrender to a drone. The first in history. A drone that could not even shoot. At that moment, the machine could see, but it could not kill. Soon, it would.